Hello, welcome to the Yeti Den. Today we are going to be talking about a really fun indie title that I played on Steam, Xbox Game Pass, and the Nintendo Switch, and that is Atomicrops. Atomicrops is published by a video game publisher that I love personally, Raw Fury. They are known for, at least in this household, Kingdom. Kingdom is an incredible series if you've ever played it. We were addicted to Kingdom for the past, I want to say, 2 to 3 years. We would literally sometimes during our holiday break last year spend like 6 to 8 hours playing Kingdom, listening to music. And I think what has hooked me on Raw Fury games is the pixelated art style that they seem to be pretty well known for. Not all of their games have pixelated art styles, but the ones that do are really charming. And another component of Kingdom and Atomicrops that hooked me in is the fact that it's a roguelite. So Atomicrops is developed by a 3-person team, and they are called Birdbath Games, and it is a farming action sim roguelite where you inherit your uncle's farm.
Smell that country air. There's nothing like this in the city.
And now, it's all yours, just as it's stated in your uncle's will. Rest his soul.
When this game came out, I remember the storyline from watching Splattercat play it and Switch Up review it. But essentially, you inherit your uncle's farm, and right after you inherit it, a nuclear bomb drops, and I believe you fall into a nuclear shelter below, and then you come out, and there's mutant animals and vegetables, and you have to fight to survive, but also to protect your precious vegetables from being eaten by mutant rodents, essentially. And so during the day, you start with an empty patch of like 4 to 6 tiles, and you immediately need to get going into the biomes, because inside the biomes, there are a couple key elements to the gameplay loop that you need, and that is upgrades. And so every time you shoot creatures, they usually drop fertilizer. And I didn't know what fertilizer was at first because the game is pretty minimalistic in its design and UI for the most part. And so for hours on Steam, I'd play it and just wonder, what is that stuff that they keep dropping? It's fertilizer. And so you collect fertilizer, you collect seeds every once in a while. The seeds will drop. And you don't want to go plant your seeds right away, because if you do, what will happen is animals like worms and maybe rabbits, I think, but mostly worms, will eat your plants while you're in the biome. So the key is you go to the biome, there's one on the right, one on the left. I usually start with the right, and you just book it and you look for turrets and cows. And the reason why you need turrets and cows are the cows will water your plants, and the turrets will protect your farm plot while you're venturing into the biomes. And so I believe there's a biome to the right, a biome below you, a biome to the left, and one above. And the ones above and below require bridges that you can create to go to those biomes. So you spend your first day-night cycle in biome 1 or biome what I call 2. It's like right and left. And so you want to get your farm set up on the first day, so that way you can plant the seeds that you were given right at the start. You have your cow watering your plants, and you have your turret protecting it. And then now you can get the seeds. And now the goal is I believe the main currency is peanuts. You want to get 60 peanuts because once you get 60 peanuts, you can upgrade your gun. And my favorite gun is the Spud rifle. It's got a faster rate of fire, I believe, than the pea shooter. And it's just the perfect aim because aiming is super crucial and you want to hit your enemies in an effective way. So there's a lot of more powerful weapons, but some of them require you to get too close to the enemy, like I believe it's the shotgun maybe, or some of their spreads are too far out. And so you really need that rhythmic punch to hit your opponent in a consistent way and not have to waste too much time dodging. So dive into the right, to the left. The day-night cycle happens at night. It urges you to go back and protect your crops because at night is when more critters, I believe from the biomes, they come and they start to attack your crops. So you need to survive the night. Morning comes. That's when you jump back to another biome or you try to do as much as you can, like harvest your plants because you want your peanut score to go up. So then you have your peanuts, you go back to town. This is where you buy your rifle. You upgrade your rifle as soon as you can. You get, if you have roses, you could spend your roses on flirting with a mate, which is cool. And I found that flirting with the mate is more important than getting the mate. So you can go back. There's two options to flirt, and you just pick the better perk for that visit in town because it'll never be the same. So every time you return to town, you need to use your resources wisely because as soon as you go back, a lot of those options for what was on sale will be refreshed. So the store changes over. So that's why I put a really big emphasis on getting those 60 peanuts on the first day so that you can buy a better gun. Because the further out you go with a bad gun, the pea shooter, the worse chances you have of being able to upgrade later because you need to venture into the biomes in order to collect more seeds, to grow your economy, because you want to be coming back with what they call a bountiful harvest. Because after a season, you then see the mayor and she gives you the rewards of your harvest for feeding the town. And a lot of those rewards are really crucial, like cornucopias and roses, and sometimes you'll get drones to follow you, sometimes you'll get turrets, sometimes you'll get cows. That gives you a huge head start for the next season. And so the goal is to survive a full year. And when you do, there's a boss at the end. You've got to survive the boss. And then that's year one. So that's where I'm at. I've beat year one. I'm trying to beat year two. I don't know if I beat year two yet, but I'm over 100 hours in and I'm loving the game because it's so deep. And I would say where Kingdom is relaxing, moody, beautiful, awe-inspiring, divine, Atomicrops is chaotic, cute, charming, exhilarating. And so what's great about Atomicrops is the composer, he did all these kind of what he describes as raw and organic sounds, hitting suitcases, smacking his PC tower against the floor. And you really feel the charm and love that's crafted in the game because like Kingdom, where the sounds are so iconic, the sounds in Atomicrops are really iconic and they give you this euphoric sense of accomplishment when you pluck out all your vegetables because they're ripe and happy, and they'll be singing almost like songs, like in these high-pitched little chirpy voices, and the guns hit really good and have a really strong impact. So I think between the art style being really cute and charming and the sound design having a lot of love put into it, the combination is really nice. And the music is just, it kind of gives me a SpongeBob meets End of the World kind of a mashup, but while also having an ancient sound to it. It feels very Celtic or very, I don't know, just like the type of music you would expect to hear in a harvesting, farming community that's jolly and strange and has all these emotions connected to the different seasons of the harvest. So I highly recommend it if you like roguelites, because You're always going to die, of course, but you may survive throughout the whole year without dying, which is really exhilarating. But it's one of those games where starting over is just as fun because there's all this kind of math that goes into your player build. And one crucial element of the game that I didn't realize until later was as soon as you unlock a character, you should try out that character because chances are they play totally different and they reveal more elements of the world and the game design because they each come with their strengths and their weaknesses. And so one character might come with turrets right away. Another character might zoom really fast. And so exposing yourself to those play styles, I think, is really important early on because you realize, okay, there's a totally different schematic here at play when you're strategizing your build. So I highly recommend trying out the characters, trying out the weapons, experimenting, because the more you understand about your strategic build, the chances increase of you having a favorable outcome. And so even though the game is really cute and charming, there's a huge strategic element to surviving. And so all the animals, they have their own perks, and it's a delicate ecosystem. And at the end of the year, you really see that ecosystem all come together, which is really exciting. They add a ton of DLC to it, and I haven't even read too much into what the DLC does because I'm just so content with the content that's already there. So I know there's paid DLC, I know there's free updates, there's leaderboards you could play online. I mostly play offline single player. Like I said, I'm still trudging through. And so in between the runs, what's really important is there's your farmhouse. And the more you upgrade your farmhouse, the more you upgrade your player or your potential throughout the runs, even when you die. So when you're in your farmhouse, that's in between lives. You die, you go to your farmhouse, you upgrade it, you spend the cornucopias, you get cats. It's wild. It's this whole other side of the game that allows you to flesh out your long-term relationship with the game. So you can invest in your pea shooter, you can invest in all these things that stay with you. And then once you go into the world, into, I guess it would be the farmland and the town, that's when you get those upgrades that are less permanent. So there's a cool element of permanent upgrades and temporary upgrades that are always at play. You're always finding new ways to last longer and survive. And so in that way, it feels much deeper than a kingdom. Because yeah, there's so many possibilities with the game. It's kind of, I would say, like a Dead Cells in that way. So yeah, if you're a fan of Dead Cells, if you're a fan of roguelites, farm sims, tower defense, it's a mashup of kind of all those things. So I highly recommend playing Atomicrops. I really enjoyed it. Check it out. Let me know what you think. And what's your favorite farm sim? This is really my first foray into farm sims, and I think it's the perfect one to start with if you've never played one before. So yeah, tell me if there's any others like this that you recommend, and I will see you guys next time. Later.